Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, apologies, I'm getting this out late to you. It's been a crazy day, both for the markets, but also personally. Like my father-in-law had to go to the ER, get surgery, and all these things. So lots happening on the family side. But man, Bitcoin was in free fall today. It's bloody out there. So let's look at the chart. So Bitcoin at the time of recording at $64,368. Today it wicked down to below 60K. So it is bloody out there. But guys, if we put the emotions and the depression and the anxiety and the uncertainty to the side, and you just look at the chart, we are so oversold. I mean, it's crazy. We're at levels even worse than like COVID and FTX and so forth. And it's not like there was some major catalyst like an FTX, like a COVID, right? Those are shock factors that have big mainstream narratives and news cycles and affect people in different ways. None of that happened. Obviously, October 10th, we had that liquidation event when Trump tweeted out about the 100% tariffs on China. He obviously reverted on that, but it caused some sort of cascading effect that has been going down and down and down, and Bitcoin is falling so fast. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it fall that fast outside of a Black Swan event, right? And look, some people are saying maybe it's the Epstein file release that is the catalyst, the Black Swan event. I don't know. It doesn't seem that way. Maybe that's just the cover story, but there's some manipulation here. That look, the markets right now, based on the economy and so forth, retail is not really here. So let's just wrap it up, right? It could be simple as that. And again, the cover story could be whatever it is, but this is Bitcoin's largest one-day drop in history, down nearly $10,000 and still dropping like a stone. Joe Consorti said here, and he said it's starting to smell like capitulation. So guys, we are in extreme oversold territory, even on the weekly chart. So all these things are looking like a relief rally, something, some sort of bounce is going to come because markets don't go in the same direction forever, right? There is a point of exhaustion for the sellers, and you have a contrary move to the herd because everybody's bearish right now. Everybody. There's not one bull left. And I think it's safe to say we are in a bear market, and all the levels we were looking at have been invalidated, a lot of the thesis and much more. So it is what it is, folks. This is the market. So let me share some other things here. The Bitcoin 2-week RSI is the most oversold in history. In addition, we are so oversold, it's worse than the FTX crash, the COVID crash, the Luna crash, even the October 10th crash, which started all of this. So it is wild, guys. So I'm expecting some sort of reversal. Now, it's funny. I was looking at this data from sentiment over the past week as, the market was starting to correct and so forth. And I saw the whales started distributing the whale wallet data, which was in accumulation for a good amount of time. They started dumping and retail started picking up. And that is a clear sign. That is a clear sign that the whales are like, we're out of here. So that's where this forced selling, I think, is, the whales just saying, yeah, we're giving up on the market until this whole thing resets and there's more capitulation, because throughout Bitcoin's history and just alone in this cycle, we've seen that when the opposite is happening, when retail's giving up and their wallets are going down, that's when the whales start buying and then they pump the markets. Well, over the past couple months or so, that has not been happening, and retail's been picking up. A lot of people have been, buying and still believing. And the whales, while they started accumulating, I think they noticed, well, the retail is not capitulating. We're going to do the opposite. So the data shows that, and it's some sentiment. And me and Brian from Sentiment have covered this in the most recent episodes of the dichotomy between, these two wallet types and how that affects the markets. Now, as mentioned, I believe some sort of relief rally is coming. How high we go, I don't know, guys. And even Capo, the master of the bears, the guy who's often bearish a lot, he's saying, look, main support zone reach and confluence with regards to the 2021 highs. and all that jazz. He says lots of liquidity above and shorts are aggressive here. Sentiment can't be more negative. So we're in extreme fear, again, depression and much more. So some sort of relief rally is coming here. Again, doesn't mean that we are in a bull market. It's just a relief rally and Bitcoin could go lower. But obviously, timeline wise, the Fourier cycle played out to a T. It had different characteristics. No euphoric blow off top, no alt season, right? You did not see the common things that we saw in the past. And that could mean that in this cycle, we saw the law of diminishing returns play out here for Bitcoin. So could that be reflected in the downside as well? That you had diminished returns to the upside, but also you might get less volatility to the downside, right? I think that's plausible. And look, you're going to see bears are going to do their victory lap and say, ha, I told you, and so forth. And we're going to 10K. And they're going to say all types of outlandish things. But again, if you didn't have the same type of upside we've seen in the past, I don't believe you're going to see 90, 80, 90% drawdown, honestly. But I could be wrong. Look, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but if, the things we're seeing are very different than the previous cycles with blow-off tops, euphoria, retail, alt season, and much more. So what's my strategy, guys? I'm going to look to take a little bit of profits if we have some sort of relief rally. Maybe Bitcoin goes back to 100K. So I'll take some profits there, but I'm not liquidating everything. I've often stated that I'm not in a position where I need the money. Some of you may be, right? You may have to liquidate more. I'm just, sharing my opinion and what's happening with me. But I will take a little bit off the table, and I plan to buy the altcoin dips as we go lower. So buy the blood on the streets, right? Obviously, that's not financial advice. Do your own research. Do what's best for you. I'm just saying what has worked for me, is buying those lows. So, for example, I was buying the FTX crash in November and December. You guys may recall I posted the receipts of those purchases of Bitcoin and other altcoins. So my portfolio, based on those entry prices, is up. And I'm going to look to take some profits, but I'm still holding the majority of my bag for the next bull market. So I've often stated we got to have a macro view, and that's the approach I'm taking. Now, you are free to do whatever you want. I'm just sharing my opinion and playing the cycles accordingly. Obviously, this cycle did not turn out to how we expected it, even with ETFs, altcoin ETFs, even with the Genius Act passing. And of course, we didn't get the crypto market structure. And I've often stated that I think Trump launching the meme coins kind of hurt us, even though, overall, I think he's been net positive, but that kind of stole the alt season, not to mention it alienated a lot of people who are, let's say, on the Democrat side, right? Who may have been interested in crypto and was like, wait a minute, I don't want to get involved with this. Donald Trump's involved in this. Look, that's how human behaviors and the nature of politics works, right? So I think that hurt us. I think that a bit of the tariff stuff hurt us as well. And overall, economically, people didn't have as much money to just go buy a bunch of altcoins. And then you had competing markets such as AI taking away a lot of liquidity and things like that. So the cycle was different, a bit rough, right? But like I said, I got the macro view. Crypto is getting the most adoption we've ever seen in the history of this asset class and industry, with huge institutions, getting involved. And I do believe once they are fully positioned, once the market structure is passed, they're going to pump the hell out of it. I think now they're just dipping their toes in the water and they need full clarity. So this is how this cycle ends, which, man, just disappointing and brutal as well. I mean, it's just forced selling, right? Here's what Benjamin Cohen, he has a huge following, huge YouTube channel, so check him out. He said, one common pattern in midterm years for Bitcoin is that we see a lot of weakness going into early February, followed by strength into March, then weakness again going into April/May. Doesn't mean it plays out exactly like that, but I think, given how oversold we are, given the sentiment, I think we're going to see a bounce, some sort of relief rally. So I think he's right. February is maybe where we have the bottoming out. We start climbing out the hole, do a relief rally, and then, like he said here, it come April, May, we start dumping down to lower lows, right? That's certainly possible. Now, even the ETFs are taking a big hit. So BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF posts $10 billion daily volume record as Bitcoin records major intraday decline. Now, you would want this record to be broken on the upside when we're pumping. Unfortunately, it's broken on the downside with a lot of outflows. So everybody's taking a beating here, guys. It is brutal out there, man. But this is where, again, you don't want to catch a falling knife. But when there's blood on the streets, when everybody's afraid, this is the time. It is the big contrarian move. Warren Buffett has talked about it, but the masses, they'll see this and start panic selling. Again, if you need the money and you need to exit the market, then yeah, you do what you got to do. But I'm talking about if you don't necessarily need the money now, like there's not some emergency or whatever, and you don't have a long-term view, you're just jumping in and out of pumps and dumps, right? Then you're just moving by the emotions of the market. You're doing it wrong, right? So it's tough out there. And guys, obviously, there's a lot of controversy around Binance, a lot of FUD, and in fact, people have been withdrawing their funds from Binance. So I would be careful with some of the exchanges. We don't know if they're going to halt withdrawals. Even Binance had to temporarily halt withdrawals. They had a temporary disruption. So just be careful out there. There's reports coming out on different sources. And this is why I'm a big believer in self-custody. I've been talking about it for years. So I custody the majority of my crypto assets on hardware wallets. And specifically, I use Trezor. They make great hardware wallets which makes it easy for you to custody. So I've been a user of the Trezor Safe 5 and Safe 7. And Trezor, they've been around for years. They started this, guys. They started it back in 2013. They created the hardware wallets and the seed phrase setup. Their hardware wallets are open source. That's how much they trust the code. And folks, they support all the major coins such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and much more, even new tokens. And they have a big discount starting today. It's a Valentine's Day special, up to 20% off until February 15th. So make sure you check it out. You can get the devices at a discount, and it's an easy way and safe way to just custody your assets, and you'll be able to sleep at night, especially if you have the long-term view and you are looking at storing your assets safely. You don't have to worry about exchange problems or halting or withdrawals and all these things, because you never know when those things could happen, especially when you have kind of the assets dumping at this rate and people are panicking and they're trying to get their stuff off the exchanges. It could cause problems. So anyway, check out Trezor. Again, they got the Valentine's Day special going on, so you can grab some devices. I'm a user once again and a believer in this product, and it's pretty great. And they have the new version, the Trezor Safe 7, which is quantum ready and much more. So check it out. All the links will be in the description. Now, I want to share what Mike Belshi had to say. He's the CEO of BitGo. They just went public, and BitGo's one of the top crypto custodians in the market. And Mike is a crypto OG, and he was building in Web 1 and Web 2.0 as well. So he tweeted out, "This is my fifth major crypto crash. If it's your first, I know it feels devastating, but nothing about Bitcoin's value proposition changed in the last 30 days. The infrastructure got better, the adoption grew, real use cases have emerged from payments with stable coins to tokenized equities. Crypto will come back stronger." So I absolutely agree with this. But, in the moment, in the emotions and everything that's going on, it's tough, right? I'm avoiding looking at my portfolio, guys. And again, I've been here since 2016. So I am certainly not immune from the emotions that come, but I've learned to master that in a sense of not panicking and then looking at, okay, where can I take entries or get entries at, with some of these coins. And then final news item, guys, Anchorage Digital, which is actually a competitor to BitGo, they have announced a $100 million strategic equity investment from Tether, implying a valuation of $4.2 billion. So they may get or try to go public at some point. Diogo Monica, who's the co-founder of Anchorage, said even more exciting is the fact that these $100 million are being used for the first ever employee tender offer, providing liquidity to long tenured team members who have helped build the company over nearly a decade. So very, very interesting. Let's continue to see how this market pans out in the coming days and weeks. Like I said, we are so oversold, so I believe some sort of relief is coming. But the thesis of the bull market continuing, that is done. We are in a bear market, guys. The structure has broken. So it's pretty brutal, pretty tough out there. And I would love to hear what you guys think. I know I'm going to hear it from the bears in the comment section doing their victory laps. And by all means, go ahead, guys. But remember, markets are cyclical, right? Bulls don't last forever, bears don't last forever. So the bulls will return, but right now it's the bear show. All right, guys, be sure to support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. Grab a copy of my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.